What's going on, you guys? So today I'm going to be talking about why the multiplayer is historically inaccurate in Call of Duty World War II. So as you guys may know, I made a video about this a couple days ago, and in that video I was pretty much just talking about the multiplayer not being realistic and was talking shit to the COD community. But this video will be a little lighthearted, and it will have a lot of information that you guys need to know. So not only am I going to be talking about why the multiplayer is historically inaccurate, I'm also going to be talking about what you guys can do to resolve the issues with the Iron Cross and the playable women situation. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first reason on why the multiplayer is historically inaccurate is because Sledgehammer Games wanted to focus on the campaign this year. So I'm pretty sure most of you already know that the reason why the campaign is historically accurate is because the campaign will tell a real, gritty, dark, and intense story. Not the multiplayer and zombies, obviously. And I don't have a problem with the campaign only being historically accurate, because they did say that this game would be historically accurate after all. Well, campaign to be exact. And they said that the campaign will have a dark symbol, which is the swastika, which we'll get to that later. And let's just say that the multiplayer isn't supposed to be realistic at all, guys. It's supposed to be a fun arcade shooter with perks, health regeneration, and respawning, which obviously isn't realistic. Just have fun with the multiplayer and don't pay any attention to the historical inaccuracies, which I will talk about that later. Alright, now let's move on to number 2, which is the main reason why the multiplayer is historically inaccurate. And that, my friends, is game coding and the community as a whole. First off, if Sledgehammer Games made a European version of the game, then it would have been delayed and we wouldn't be able to play with the community worldwide. Now let me explain why that's the case. If there was an American version of this game that has swastikas on everything, and an EU version of the game with no swastikas, then it wouldn't be possible to play with the whole entire community worldwide, due to the game files being different from one another. And as you guys know, some parts of Europe have strict laws against swastikas being in video games and such. And the reason why the campaign has swastikas on one version of the game is because the campaign shows a very respectful story of World War II, like a documentary basically, and not the multiplayer, because the multiplayer can be outright silly at times. Trick shotting and teabagging, which is just the fun part of the multiplayer. But as I was saying, this is a very big deal for us because we want to be able to play with the people worldwide and not just playing with one certain part of the community. And for those of you people who are saying that it's not that hard to put one symbol on a flag, it actually is hard because of game coding that you have to remember, and it will take a lot of work. And I also bet that you guys are complaining, saying that there are swastikas in the new Wolfenstein game. Well, that's because that's a single player only game, and it's not even a respectful World War II story. So they also had to make an EU version of the game because of that. Damn EU laws. So there you guys have it. And to give you a quick little recap of what I've just said, the campaign will be historically accurate and will have swastikas, and they kept one version of the game because of EU laws and playing together as a community worldwide. So now that we talked about why the multiplayer is historically inaccurate, let's talk about what you can do to solve the Iron Cross and playable women situation. First off, let's start off with the Iron Cross. Okay, with or without swastikas, you're not going to be seeing them like 97% of the time when running and gunning and or doing the objective. There are some maps that don't even have symbols at all. The only exception is when the game ends and you'll see the symbol, but who cares? I've already talked about why there are iron crosses instead of swastikas, so I'm not even going to repeat myself. Okay. Now that we've talked about the iron crosses, let's talk about playable women. First off, you could turn off the battle chatter so you won't hear them at all. Secondly, since 90% of the community are complaining about playable women and even black Nazis, you'll rarely see them in game. 90% of the teammates and enemies are going to be white men. So I guess that's good news for you if you want to have a realistic experience, even though there are so many things that are realistic about the Call of Duty's multiplayer. So anyways, that's me today, guys. This was the best information I could give to you, and hopefully you can respect that by smashing that like button. So that's all I have to say, and I hope you enjoyed this video and had a fantastic day. Peace out, guys.